This week in VCT, game changes are coming up, and I will be doing my tier list. Two players have announced their retirement, and China have been very busy. But first, before we get into the rumor mill, I just want to talk about some tragic news that happened throughout in this week. That being said, a player from the North American collision scene has sadly passed away. He was a player that used to play for Berlin Esports. I don't think it's the esports org that is now. It might be actually the org that is now going to be in challenges for Split 3. But it was announced on Twitter on October 28th that he passed away a week prior. So my thoughts and prayers goes out to his friends and family. It is obviously sad to lose someone in this community. I mean, I talked about Matt J. Khan as well, and I think earlier this year I talked about a Game Changers Brazilian player as well who sadly passed away. I know there's others as well that I completely forgot to mention, but I will be talking about them at the end of this year. But I just wanted to decide to say that my thoughts and prayers does go out to Say's families and friends. Obviously, it's tragic to lose someone in this community. Let's now move now to the rumor mill. There's actually one rumor that being with MIBR, and it's more looking like this is what their roster is going to look like, as Nozware, Xenon, and Kozia are rumored to be joining this team. I don't know if you're going to pronounce the source, I'll be honest. It's a Brazilian Twitter account. That's all I can say. But it's looking good for MIBR. I mean, the roster, as what we kind of think is going to be Aspas. Artson is going to be the only player returning. Then Nozware, Xenom, and Kotsia. Those three are the players that will be joining the team along with Aspas. I'll be honest, I quite like this. I think Nozware, we already know how great he is. As for Zenem and Kotsia, I'm interested to see how they go. I'll be honest. I mean, I don't really know a lot about them in the Brazilian scene, so I can't really tell you of which team they were a part of. I'll be honest, but I'm pretty excited to see how this MIBR roster goes. We now have Aspas and Nosweir on the same team, and the reason why Aspas moved to Leviathan was to play with Nosweir. Now they're now playing as teammates for now for the first time on in MIBR. So it's looking good for MIBR's roster. I'm excited to see how that goes and if they do pick up these players. Now for the news throughout the week, and it's only just one I want to talk about, which is the two players that have announced their retirement, that being Blaze King and Ak. Blaze King formerly used to play for Global Esports. He's been in the scene for quite a while now. Obviously, he was a CS player before he jumped over to Valorant, and he's been there for, I'm pretty sure, for 10 years, I believe, in the esports scene. So much deserved retirement. Obviously, yes, this was like his only year in tier one. Yes, it was with Global Esports, which kind of faltered. But it's still, I mean, it's still a great career that Blaze King had. A very long, lustrous career that he had in his esports career. So that's also a great sign there for Blaze King. I do wish him the very best on his retirement. As for Ak, he used to play for Tyler, I think, and I think he started his esports career in Valorant. He's only well, like 23 years old, so he's still pretty young. So with him to call retirement, this early on, I should say, in his life is pretty surprised. I'm guessing he might maybe he might maybe go to maybe education, but I'm not too sure where Ak could go. But to be fair, I mean his career is not as like achievements, I guess to say, than maybe possibly Lily Blaze King, where he possibly really won quite a few CS tournaments and when he was playing there, and he was pretty competitive as well in the Indonesian side of Valorant. As for Ak, I mean the Chinese scene didn't really kick off until like this year or last year, I should say. So he's been like playing for like teams like Team Weibo or Royal Never Give Up, and most recently Tyler as well. And Tyler, as a whole, this season 2024 was not good. But yeah, I mean, I do wish both of these players a good retirement, and hopefully, we maybe we'll see them back, maybe some capacity, maybe as a broadcaster or as a coach, possibly, but we'll see where they go. Let's now talk about Rostermania. First, start off with All Games, as they have announced that player has joined this team. Just like Kyra and X3B, he used to play for Kingju Club or Q9, just to make it a bit more simplified. It's looking like that Q9 might just be all games academy team, which is okay. I mean, it's also tempting, or it's also looking like as well that the new coach will be the former coach of Q9 as well, of September 7th. So it's looking like that all games in Q9 might be partner up a bit, maybe as an affiliate partnership team, as there hasn't been like concrete like confirmation of if any of these Chinese teams will have a partnership team. We know I think like Tyloo and TEC are looking to get academy teams, but there hasn't been any like concrete like confirmation. This like player joining all gamers, he was pretty quiet, I'll be honest, but that's entirety of Q9, I'll be honest, being quiet during the Ascension tournament. But I mean, if all gamers have already signed 3 players and even the coach as well from Q9, it is looking like that all games in Q9 will be joining up as an affiliate team. Next up is from Bilibili Gaming, as Russia has joined this team. And I tried to do research on this guy and I got nothing. Like even like I couldn't find anything on Wikipedia, couldn't find anything on VLR. So it's looking like Russia is one of these unknown quantity players that are in that are in the Chinese scene that could potentially do well. I know they're playing the FGC Invitational, I believe, of Billy Gaming, and they did win against XLG. And Russia is looking like he will be the smokes player for this team. He was alright, to be honest. He didn't really impress me. He was just alright. So it's looking like that Rashia is looking to be a promising player for Bilibili Gaming, considering that as we will be talking about soon, that one of their players have left to join another team. But I'm interested to see how this goes. I'll be honest. I mean, I don't know anything about the guy. I don't think he played in Ascension. I don't think he played in any team as well in Tier 2 in China, but it could easily surprise me. Next up now is Dragon Range Gaming, as they have announced that Kangshu has joined this team. Another player, I believe, from 5 Ace Esports, just like Spirit Z1 from the Hong Kong, Taiwan region, and they were kind of irrelevant, I'll be honest. Just like Bilibili Gaming, they did play in the FGC Invitational, including in as well the Wildly Cup as well. And Dragon Range Gaming have been a bit disappointing. They've been having this weird roster of like having Nicked various looking for Kashu, along with Spirit Z1 and Kangshu for the FGC Invitational tournament. So I'm a bit confused on how the like of how the communication is, because I mean I don't know how good of an English, like how good Spirit Z1 and Kangshu's English is, if they want to communicate in English or if they're just communicating in a bit of like Cantonese mainly. I'm pretty sure that's what the language I think Taiwan speaks. Might be wrong. If it is wrong, I do apologize. But I mean, it's just I mean, this is another unknown quantity. I mean, if the more we see from these Chinese teams, the more of an unknown it is. And I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't watch the Hong Kong Taiwan region because I didn't expect any of these teams to be looking at that region. I mean, Dragon Range Gaming, they've already picked up 2 from of Spirit Z1 and Kangshu. So I mean, these 2 could be very very good or could be a bit of a flop. FPX now looking to get a bit more firepower in their roster, as they have announced that York and Yosemite has joined this team. York will be the assistant coach for this team. I'm not too sure if it's going to be York or York Monster. I'm not too sure, but it's basically the same person. He used to be the coach and the player for Titan Esports Club. I mean, sure. As for Yosemite, he used to be the player for Bilibili Gaming, and I guess it was mainly well known for topping the charts when they versed NRG twice in Champions of last year. So, I mean, this team is good on paper, but from the recent performance I've seen on the FGC Invitational, it's not looking good. They did lose to Wolves Esports, who, I'll be honest, are looking really, really good. I mean, Wolves, they won in the Wally Cup, I believe, against Nova Esports out of all teams. So Wolves are looking really, really good. And if they can beat out FPX, who were basically the second best team in China, I mean, Wolves are looking really, really good. But back to FPX, this is a good. I'll be honest, this is a good replacement for Lysol, and To be fair, I mean, you could say that Yosemite is maybe the best option to replace Lysol, as Lily Lysol has now joined Wolves Esports. York, you'll be replacing Guy technically as the assistant coach for this team, hoping as he'll be helping out Nathan D. But from what I've seen, like I said, from the from FPX and the FGC Invitational, it's not looking good. I mean, Autumn, he's now officially on a Sentinel role. He's been playing like Cypher and Killjoy. Yosemite, I think, is still on the I think it's still on the controller initiator, I believe. No, so Berlin is like on both like controller and initiator. Life is doing pretty good as well. Ion has been pretty impressive. But I mean, you could say that this is you could say that FPX is having like first game nerves and they haven't really practiced with the Yosemite, which is absolutely fair. But from what I've seen so far from FPX, it's a bit concerning. Next up, it is JD Gaming, as they have announced that Ego has joined the team from All Gamers, and JD Gaming now has Sword9, Hypnotizing, and Ego. I mean, three formerly from All Gamers. And from what I've seen as well from JD Gaming in the off season, not good. I mean, they looked really good in stage 2 of this year, but during the off season, they have been looking quite crap. I'll be honest. I mean, I think they bombed out immediately from the Wally Cup. They're potentially as well looking to bomb out as well from the FGC Invitational, I believe, because I'm pretty sure they did lose in their match. I can't remember who it was up against, but it's not looking good for JD Gaming so far. I mean, they could easily improve for kickoff of next year, 2025, but it's not looking good so far for JD Gaming. But I mean, Ego joining is great. I mean, All Gamers, they definitely surprised me this year. But the question is, are JD Gaming going to improve or even potentially work on from where they left off in stage 2, or are they just going to flop? Next up is from Titan Esports Club, as they have announced that Snail will be joining the team on trial. I don't know what to think about this. He used to play for Keep Best Gaming in both Ascension tournaments of 2023 and 2024. 2023 was shit. 2024 was disappointing, and he was part of both teams. I don't know what to think about this. I think they're just looking for players to potentially replace and maybe look for maybe a potential gem. But I don't think Snail is the correct option. I mean, I think there's definitely other players in the Chinese scene that you can maybe look at. Hell, you can maybe as well maybe look at for an import. I mean, Dimasic, for example, he used to play for Keep Ass Gaming and he was alright, you could say. But I mean, I don't know because TUC is one of those weird teams that have great players like RB, Arbo, Haldong. They had a pretty good coach yourself as well with After and 3 Water, but they have some mediocre players in pieces as well. So I'm concerned for Titan Esports Club coming into next year. I just think they need to blow up their roster. And the final Chinese roster move is that YOU has joined the team of XLG. Yes, there's a lot of memes when that was announced on VCT official account that people were like, "Who? Me? Me? I joined XLG? Wow." Yeah, I know. Very, very creative, but it was a good laugh there either way. But YOU or you joining this team is pretty good, I'll be honest. I mean, he was you could say he was a bit snubbed on Trace Esports this year, and then he went down to Tier 2 to form an August team with other Tier 1 players. I think one from Tyler, I think Slowly, I believe, or Mizey. Then we obviously had like FFS as well as joined the team as well. There was two other Saya, I believe, was another one. And it was Baby Blue. That's the other one, Baby Blue. Also was a part of that team. I can't remember the name of it, I'll be honest right now, on top of my head, which is bad. But I mean, I think it's a great choice for XLG. They were very, very competitive in the Wally Cup against Tier 1 teams that were there this year in 2024. So it's looking good for XLG, and they could potentially do what Dragon Age Gaming did this year and potentially qualify for an international event. I mean, they are that impressive and that good that they can maybe do that, and they have some great pieces as well. I mean, YOU is a big one. Raga as well. Happy Way has been very, very impressive. Martin, Mr. Carney. I mean, They have great players. The coach as well of Havoya, I think that's how you say his name. The Russian coach, he's been also very, very good as well for this team. So I expect this team to be mid-pack at best. Let's now move out to Europe or EMEA. And first off with Fnatic, they have announced that Kayak has officially joined his team. Now there is something I do need to do some housework here. That Sayonara also joined this team as well, but that was only for the off-season event, so that's something I needed to mention there. That Sayonara has joined Fnatic, but not officially. He will be with DVM Esports for next year. But for Kayak joining Fnatic, I mean, this is maybe his greatest opportunity. I mean, but to be fair, he is replacing some big shoes. Durka is gone, obviously, to Team Vitality. So Kayak stepping up to join Fnatic, I think is maybe the best option. He is a crack duelist player. He has been coming up in the scene for quite a while now. And as well with Apex, he's good. And I expect Fnatic to be very, very scary in the EMEA region. Team Vitality as well had to say goodbye to two people, that being Sala and Sender. Sala, you could say, was not surprising considering that he was benched during the season, so that's no surprise there. And Sender, you could also say, was also not surprising. I mean, they are already pretty happy with their their five-man roster of like Kicks, Safe, Trex, and adding Les and Durka in as well. I mean, they have quite a lot of money there, has Team Vitality. So where could these two go? I'm not too sure. I mean, I think Sender, he could maybe go back, maybe. I don't know where he could go. He could maybe go to maybe the East region, or maybe, I don't know, he could maybe go to anywhere, I'll be honest. As for Salah, that's also a bit of a question mark. He could maybe he could do maybe what Mystic is doing now and potentially maybe join the Dash region, but I don't know where any of these two could go, but it was coming, I'll be honest, for both of these two people to leave the team. Boom Esports has now announced their replacement for ZBW, which is DOS9, as it was rumored in my last episode. It's great. I mean, having a Kazakhstani player in is amazing. It's phenomenal. Yes, we obviously had a Kazakhstani player there before with Demisik. But I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's great to have these. I guess you could say like minor countries that aren't really in the eco. Well, I don't know really how to really say this, but it's the countries that don't have a lot of representation in the Valorant scene. I mean, you can't really think of really anyone from the Kazakhstani region other than maybe Demisik, who I guess is maybe the most well-known one. But now to have like DOS9 in tier 1 with Boom Esports, I think it's great. But it, I guess the question is of communication. I think they might be just talking maybe in English, but I don't know because obviously Valorant is very, very key on communication. So I'm excited to see how DOS9 goes. I hope he goes well because, I mean, he's been grinding the Tier 2 South Asian scene for quite a while now, especially as well with Revenant Esports, which they did qualify as well for Ascension. So we'll see how DOS9 goes. DRX as well have announced that Ethan has joined this team. Ethan is basically Leviathan, so he was rumored for a while as well. So I guess you can say no surprises here. But DRX so far in this off season have been underwhelming. We'll say you could definitely say that they haven't practiced a lot, which is absolutely fair. Like I said as well with FPX, but it's a bit of a worry considering if Genji, um, potentially as well your main rivals have been really, really good, and it's kind of left off of where they were last year. You should be sweating in if you are DRX. But having these like young players like as well, like Freeing, Youngmin, Ethan, Bane, well not Bane, he's gone now. Flashback, in the team, and Mako as the veteran player, helping them to do amazing things is definitely a great sign. And I guess I can say it is a bit of the passing the torch moment where I think Mako might be gone potentially, but he is still a very, very good player. So I think DRX is maybe going to keep him for a while until he is officially gone. But still, I think this is a pretty good change for DRX. I mean, it was definitely maybe needed, but still a pretty good change there for DRX. And the final Rostermania news is that Global Esports have now officially announced their roster, which includes Kelly S, Crystal, Puppy Chulo, Patrick Hu, and Udo Tan. That will be your 5-man roster with Juvenile as the coach. Filipino. They are gone fully Philip. Well, not fully, I should say. It is also worth noting that Kelly Yes will be the IGL and not Crystal, which I thought Crystal was a better IGL than Kelly Yes. I mean, hell, he led XLG to win Ascension in China and also led Scars to be the grand finalist of Ascension Pacific last year. So with him to not be the IGL and Kelly S being the IGL, I'm questioning it a lot. I'm like, why? Like, no disrespect to Kelly, yes, but I think Crystal's a better IGL overall than Kelly, yes. But I think Kelly, yes, I think was the IGL for Oasis Gaming, I believe. So maybe it's not really surprised there, but either way, still a bit surprising that Kelly, yes, will be the IGL for this team. Crystal, I mean, their introduction used to play for XOG, who used to play as well for Scars, so he's been there for a while. Papi Chulo, who I'm pretty sure has been in Now's esports system for forever. So it's great that he now has the opportunity now to show his skill there in Tier 1. Patrick Hu is basically a protege potentially for Global Esports, kind of like the Polvi, I guess you can say. He used to play for Revenant Esports. No, sorry, not Revenant. Velocity Gaming, not Revenant. Velocity Gaming. Which kind of surprised me. I didn't really keep track of Patrick Hu, I'll be honest. So that kind of took me out. That definitely took me out of surprise that he used to play for Velocity Gaming. But I mean, he's now here and he could maybe be very, very impressive. While Udo Tan used to play for Rare Atom, he was alright. He was pretty good when he was on that team in China. And yes, I guess you could say that mainly Freen was a shining light for Rare Atom. But to be fair, Udo Tan, he was keeping up with him. He was very, very impressive. So it's not like that Udo Tan was horrible. He was still pretty good. It's just that Freen was just taking all the light out of him. So it's if I had to say of my opinion of this roster, of this new roster that Glow Esports has, uh, is it better than last year's? I should say than this year's roster. It may be potentially on paper. I mean, you have like great players like Crystal, Puppet Chulo has been very very impressive. Kelly Yes has been also very very good. But you also have like the players that you don't know a lot about, like Udo, Ten, and Patrick Hu, especially for example. So it's kind of like I don't know if they're going to be competitive or if they're going to just bomb out like they've done in the past 2 years. I'm not too sure. And for the final segment, let's now go to my tier list for game changers. So, this is where I'm going to be doing now my tier list for game changers. Yes, I've always had a green screen for the entire time, so I guess it's a bit weird. So let's first start off with G2 goes in. I mean, this team is definitely one of the favorites coming into Berlin. This team obviously has Mimi and Petra, who won this 2 years ago at Berlin. So they definitely know how to win in front of Germany. But we also as well have some pretty good players as well coming out, especially like Rescue and Vanilla, used to be for BBL Queens, I believe. And I mean, you could definitely say that this team are obviously the favorites, which I definitely are in my opinion. So that's really that. G2 goes in, definitely up there as one of the favorites coming into this event. Giant X. Now, Giant X is a bit of a strange one in my opinion. From what I can see on Giant X's roster, we'll mainly have like Giuliano, who's been in the scene for quite a while now. We have Sarah, we have Ness, Mayori, Smurfette. I'm guessing that'll be the 5-man roster. And to be fair, they've also been very, very competitive. They've been always runner-up to G2 goes in. I mean, they're just trying their hardest just to at least beat G2 goes in this event, which is fair, which will be very, very, very difficult. But from what we've seen in, in the EMEA stage and mainly as well on paper, this team are very, very decent compared to if we compare this to all the other teams, they are very, very, very decent. I will say I'm thinking A, maybe like a low A in my opinion. Like this team is still can definitely do wonders. I mean, they have some great players. Juliana has been around the scene for quite a while now. I think Smurfette is also very, very good. So I think Giant X GC will be very, very, very competitive. Moving now to MIBRGC, he will be representing the Brazilian scene. Yes, not Team Liquid Brazil, which kind of everyone you could say was a bit disappointed about. They were just meh. I mean, I'll be honest, our Team Liquid Brazil. But for MIBRGC, this is a dream year for them. They have been very competitive in every single series that MIBRGC was part of. I mean, they came second in Series 1, they won Series 2 and 3, so they did as well beat Team Liquid Brazil to make it this far. This team might be very, very, might be an underdog in my opinion. I don't think a lot of people really talk about MIBRGC in my opinion. I think they might be also an A tier team. Do I think they're better than Giant X? They have some pretty good players. I think Sari as well, or I should say Sayuri as the IHO was great. As well, we have Jelly, Mel. I swear there's like so many Mels and Sarahs in this tournament, I swear. But MIBRGC, I think they definitely are an A tier team. Shopify Rebellion. There's no introduction. Absolutely an S tier. I mean, they are our former champions. They are coming here as the reigning champs of Game Changers. They won in Sao Paulo, and I do think that this team will be very, very good, and I think they will continue that. They haven't made any roster changes, unlike G2 goes, and I'm pretty sure they made some roster changes with like BBL Queens and stuff. But Shopify, they are like the only team, I think, in this tournament that have not made a single roster change. So they are pretty confident that they will make it back to back. But I think they're better than G2. Maybe, but at the same time, Shopify, they only had like one competition, I'll be honest, in Americas. Now, Falcons Vega, I don't know what to think about this. I guess you can say that they have Mary, who won with G2 goes in 2022. But that's all they really have. I mean, I just I'm just scratching my head of where I can really put them because they have some good pieces. I think Madvi as the IGL is pretty good. Eva has been pretty impressive. Mary as well once again. But I just don't know where they could stack up against these other teams. I mean, we know that that Team Falcons are very, very good as an organization. Maybe not really, when they're from, but the organization is very, very good and they want to win. I just don't think that's gonna happen for Falcons. I mean, they could easily maybe prove me wrong, but I just don't know if they're going to be competitive. I think I kind of want to put them maybe A or B, somewhere in this region. I could easily be wrong. I could be talking out my ass, but somewhere in this region, I think, because I think S tier is mainly G2 and Shopify. I think we can all agree with that. But like for the other teams, it's questionable to really know where to really put them. Oh, I think Team Falcons. I'm gonna put them there for now. Maybe bottom eight of A tier. They could surprise me, but I'm just not too sure. They're just a bit meh for me. A bit murky, a bit of an unknown. Next up, it is Zipto Esports, who came from the Pacific tournament, along with obviously our next team on our list. This team was formerly the Full Sense team, I believe, that competed here last year in Sao Paulo. So I think it's mainly those. So we have like Alexi, Henry, Camus, Shirazi, and Terethio as the IGL, and Cobalt as well as the coach. To be fair, Full Sense, I'm pretty sure that's what the team was. Full Sense were very, very competitive. Do I see that happening? Possibly, potentially. do I do I think that they're going to be competitive against like some of these teams already on the tier list? Maybe they could easily be dark horses. To be fair, they could easily be dark horses. I think a B tier is maybe a good option for them. I think or I just say a good ranking for them. I mean they could maybe be better than maybe than Team Falcons or even MIBR, but I just don't know. It's such an unknown of where they could be on this tier list. Next up, it is A Division GC, the Japanese team who has finally made it to an international event. The past 2 years has been Fennel. Fennel has not been that impressive. Do I think Zeta Division GC is going to be impressive? I don't think so. I think they're probably going to be maybe around the same area. Maybe Zeta Division GC might maybe up Fennel for a bit, but I don't think Zeta Division is really going to be competitive, I guess we can say. I mean, they have great players like Suzu. Suzu, I think, used to be. I swear they used to play for Fennel, I believe. Akko, Moko has also been pretty good as well. UR as well as the IGL. Serena. I just don't know what to think about this team because from the past 2 years, Japan have been been pretty disappointing in champs. I think they probably are worse than Zipter Esports. I think they're probably maybe a B tier. A team which I have nothing on is Ambitious Legend Gaming GC. I don't know, but I'm gonna say some good things about this team. They have some potential good players. I mean, the biggest one, in my opinion, is Muffin and Ginny. I like Muffin, a phenomenal duelist player. Ginny, an amazing leader. Both of them, I think, used to play for X10 Creta or X10 GC, I believe, in 2022. So it has been a while since those two have been back, on the international stage. But I mean, they also have like Lion, I believe, who is like a bit of a flex player for this team. She's been pretty good as well. Yusin as well has been alright. 1 HP has been alright as well. They could also surprise me. I'd say maybe C tier for now, but if the right opportunity comes in, they could maybe jump up to B tier. I mean, that's how pretty. I mean, I have pretty high hopes, I'll be honest, for this team. Next up, FlyQuest Red. This team was maybe the only team that could compete against Shopify Rebellion in North America. I mean, there was like no, you can maybe say maybe YFP, but FlyQuest was the main team that could actually compete against Shopify Rebellion. They have so the roster, which includes Dodo Nut, Sonder, Starbound, Thea, the IHO, and Eevee. That's a pretty good roster. I mean, I think they are going. I think they definitely are A tier. Who do I think they maybe? I think they may be around tier. Maybe. Do I think they may be better than maybe Giant X? It's a possibility. I mean, Sonder. Last time that she was on the international stage, she was a bright light, ironically playing for Shopify Rebellion. But I mean, Sonda can definitely prove that again. Starbound, I'm pretty sure, was also part of Evil Genius's GC last year. So there's already, I mean, Jovi, I think was also part of EG. I'm pretty sure as well as I think including King Fred. Both coaches were part of EG. So I mean, FlyQuest can definitely impress, or they can be what EG was last year and kind of falter. And the final one is Crew Blaze, who I think has gone to every single Champions event, and the only best finish is a 5th through 6th, I believe, which came last year, where they were a bit competitive, but not really too much, I'll be honest. I mean, do I think they maybe made some improvements potentially? I mean, they made like 2 changes, I believe, compared to like last year. I think. I just don't know if that's really it for Crew. I think Crew might need to be a bit more competitive and maybe a bit more players. I mean, they've had Rumi and Cornier for a while now. I mean, those have been. I'm pretty sure with that team since day one. So I mean, Cornea, I know Cornea is a very popular player in the LATAM region because I know that she has played with with a mixed gender roster, I believe before, and she was very, very, very good. So I was a little no respect to Cornea, I believe. I think they're definitely maybe B tier, but I think they're better than Zeta Division GC. Against Zipto, there's definitely a chance, but this is what yeah, I'm pretty happy with this actually. This is what my tier list looks like for champs. I could easily be wrong. I will leave a link to this well down in the description below so you can do one for yourself. So that is what my tier list looks like for champions. So that's really about it from me on this episode of This Week in VCT. So now, like, guys, to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helped me, especially on this channel. And yeah, that's really about it for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Catch you guys next time in the next one. Goodbye.